AskReddit by Throw Away My Life 2341. What are some events in recorded history that are extremely hard to believe, but without a doubt actually happened? Halley's Comet appeared in the sky when Mark Twain was born in 1835. The comet moves in a 75 or 76 year orbit, and, as it neared Earth once again, Twain said, "I came in with Halley's Comet and I expect to go out with it." Sure enough, he died on the 21st of April, 1910, just as the comet made its next pass within sight of Earth. He was an alien who got dropped off for a vacation via the interstellar transit and then was picked up the next time it came around. In 1908, Russia showed up 12 days late to the Olympics because the world switched calendars while they did not. To accommodate the Russian team, some events were rescheduled so that the Russian athletes could participate. This led to longer duration for those Olympics, which lasted from the 27th of April to the 31st of October, making it the longest Olympic Games in history. The Battle of Bull Run, one of the first battles of the US Civil War, occurred on and around Wilmer McLean's farm in Northern Virginia. Not wanting to live surrounded by war, McLean and his family moved to Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia. The Battle of Appomattox Courthouse was the last significant battle between Union and Confederate forces. The Confederates signed the surrender order in Wilmer's sitting room. It is said that the Civil War started on Wilmer's farm and ended in his sitting room. He was not happy about it, either, as he stated he had moved specifically to get away from the war as much as he possibly could. In 2014, Pope Francis released doves in the Vatican to symbolize his hopes for peace in the world. As soon as the doves began to fly, a seagull and a crow swooped down and attacked them in front of everyone. https://www.google.com/amp/s/pope-dove-art.com/world/2014/jan/26/pope-dove-peters-square. That's fucking ominous. Nicholas Alcamaid fell 18,000 feet without a parachute from a burning plane in 1944 and suffered no serious injury. I see how the snow cover helped, but how he didn't get skewered by pine trees or break a single bone is shocking. That time everyone died of a dancing sickness where they danced themselves to death in France. Mass hysteria. Yup. Saint Vitus dance, as it is called, still doesn't have a definitely known cause, if I remember correctly, either. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, please. New research as of 2021 shows pseudonym chorea as the most likely cause. https://www.brainandlife.org/pseudonym-chorea-st-vitus-dance-name. The Battle of Castellata, https://en.m.wiki.org/battle_of_castle_at in WW2 was fought between the Waffen SS and a group comprised of American and German soldiers, local resistance fighters, and several French celebrities, including Paul Renault, who had been the Prime Minister of France during WW1. Including a tennis player who lobbed grenades through opened windows with his racket. Yes, for real. Mongolians executing 100k plus populations in a few HRS. Very efficient head chopping. John O'Neill, the FBI agent in charge of investigating Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden in the 1990s, grew frustrated with the bureaucratic politics within the FBI and between the FBI and CIA that he felt hampered his mission. He decided to take to leave the FBI and take a higher paying job in the private sector. In the 23rd of August, 2001, he became the chief of security at the World Trade Center. He was killed in the attacks just a few weeks later. Looks like someone had a grudge to settle. The Nutmeg Wars. The Dutch and the English went to war 3 times over nutmeg, which at the time was only known to grow on one South Pacific island. Or the Cod Wars between England and Iceland. They sure like fighting countries 3 times. The Battle of Hells. In roughly 6th century BC, the Medes and the Lydians were at war. The war had lasted for 6 years and climaxed at the Battle of Hells. During the battle, a solar eclipse began. Both sides believed that the gods were angry at their long and bloody war, and were taking the sun away from them. They declared peace that day, literally throwing down their weapons and embracing their newly former enemies as the sun was returned. They declared a formal peace shortly after. But yeah, a war ended because of a solar eclipse. Fuck you and sun's your son. Theodore Roosevelt found his boat was stolen. So he built a new boat, tracked the thieves down and arrested them. He then proceeded to walk them multiple days, without sleeping, so they could receive a trial instead of just shooting them on the spot. It was in the middle of a harsh winter, so he didn't handcuff them, for fear they'd get frostbite, so instead he just kept himself awake by reading Tolstoy with a gun trained on them the whole trek. That's only the 22nd most Teddy thing I've ever read, but a new one which makes me love it. In 2019, a convicted murderer on day release bravely fought off a terrorist at London Bridge with a narwhal tusk. https://www.bbc.co.uk/UK-50870309. Edited to add that he was a convicted murderer thanks to our Rainbow Warrior here for reminding me. Edited again to add that the guy with the narwhal tusk was a civil servant and the convict on day release battled the terrorist with a fire extinguisher. This story gets more awesome with every correction. Almost as good as the Scottish bloke who kicked that airport van attacker so hard in the balls he broke his foot while the dude was on fire. Edwin Booth, brother of John Wilkes Booth, saved the life of Robert, the son of President Abraham Lincoln. Top 10 anime redemption arcs be like. Edit, misspelled redemption. John the Blind, King of Bohemia, insisted on fighting in battle and had his aides tie their horses together so they were not separated. He asked to be taken to where the battle was the loudest. The next day they were all found dead with their horses still tied together. Edit, he didn't have aides that we know of, but aides. Oh geez. The masses marching to the Berlin Wall and tearing it down only happened because earlier that day during a press conference, an East German official, Gunter Schabowski, accidentally incorrectly said leaving East Germany was legal, effective immediately. As far as I know, this becomes effective. It is right away. Immediately is still a famous thing to say in Germany. It would eventually have happened anyway, but it wasn't legal yet. However, people just did it anyways because the guy got visibly confused during the press conference and said the wrong thing. It happens at the very end of this video. https://yahoo.be/jbzhhgcez-e. During Alexander the Great's destruction of the Mediterranean, he was going to leave a small island named Tyre for later, as it would have been hard to besiege it, but the people of Tyre laughed and mocked him, so he literally built a bridge to their island and conquered it. Every time I read something else about him, I'm amazed there haven't been more movie series about him. Christmas Day 1914. The truce on the WW1 battlefields. Shows a humanity inside everyone. But they were able to wake up the next day and go straight back to war, kill the men that they'd spent a sincere day with. I can't remember where I heard the story, I think from the BBC, but I believe from one of the last living Tommies, who said that whilst they were forced to start shooting at each other, the majority of shots intentionally missed, from both sides of no man's land. I believe it was also the same man who said, in reference to Remembrance Day, to also remember the Germans. That stuck with me. They were like our lads, sent out to fight a war for war's sake, forced to do unspeakable things to other men because some higher up told them they had to. The time Indiana tried to legislate the value of pi and x200b. Value of pi question mark equals 6 or 699b1 or 260. That math professor was unimpressed. Harrison Ajegbarokin, the Nigerian man who survived for 3 days inside an air pocket inside of a sunken ship in the Atlantic. Divers went down to recover bodies and investigate, and they discovered and rescued him. There is footage from the diver rescue. See the link. https://yahoo.be/um1ym9u8xaa. He's actually a diver himself now. The diver who rescued him presented him with his diploma. In 1903, the New York Times published an article about flying machines. They stated that it would take the combined efforts of all mathematicians and mechanics 1 to 10 million years for powered flight to be achieved. Anyway, about 9 weeks later, the Wright brothers achieved powered flight for the first time. Here is the article.
https://wp-content/uploads/2022/04/net-flight.jpg?mark.146,819
They were also overly cynical afterwards. In 1910 they said that flight would only ever be for billionaires. Of course we had commercial flights by around the 60s achievable for many. People of the time couldn't look at the progress over the previous few centuries and realize we would leapfrog over it in the next few decades. The Ghost Army in WWII. Essentially an American group of troops would deploy army tanks, broadcast fake radio chatter, and deploy loud sound effects over speakers to fool the Nazis into thinking there was a large military presence coming their way. The Ghost Army was used to deceive the Nazis and make them send their military presence elsewhere, which provided openings for the real Allied forces to move in. This was used in the later parts of the war. I never learned about this in school, but I discovered it on my own and thought it was fascinating. Imagine thinking a whole mess of tanks are heading your way, but in reality, it's a couple of inflatable dummies and a few speakers. 1816. The year without summer. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/year_without_a_summer . I'm a big classic horror fan, so I'm kinda glad this happened. Indirectly lead to Mary Shelley writing Frankenstein. The Great Molasses Flood of 1919 that took place in Boston. A 40-foot wave that killed 21 people. I remember being fascinated with this story after reading a fictional book about it as a kid. At the end of the book it was stated that on hot summer days, you could still smell molasses in Boston. Now that I'm older I realize that might not be true, lol. Deleted. Sam O'Nella did a great video on this guy. I still find it totally insane that we were able to put men on the moon with the technology of the time. It blows my mind. Probably the greatest of all human achievement. And it was only 66 years after the first flight of the Wright brothers. The climactic explosion of the 1883 Krakatoa eruption. The loudest sound in recorded history. 50 miles away eardrums ruptured. Sailors 3,000 miles away thought it was a cannon. The pressure wave circled the entire planet more than 3 times. US President Roosevelt issued an executive order that made it illegal for us citizens to keep us gold coins. They made everyone return them or be subject to imprisonment and large fine. The government confiscated over 2,600 metric tons. H2 joules 69 I 57 joules 0 I 512 liters 8.8700 joules 1 joule 7 and amp. Source ed equals chrome and amp, IE equals UTF-8. I've read that when people find buried gold in the US it's usually from people hiding it during this time. No idea if that's true though. palm trees, among other flora, were present in Antarctica during the early Eocene epoch, between 55 and 48 million years ago. Only somewhat related, I just read an article about an extinct type of date palm that they found seeds of that are 2,000 years old, and Theva recently managed to grow 6 palms, 4 male and 2 female, from them, and thus have brought back an extinct species of palm tea and its fruit. So cool. That animals, if trained enough, can smell out disease. A flock of pigeons was able to correctly spot cancer in breast tissue biopsy images with 99% accuracy, on par with human experts. Why? Distinguishing %20 cancerous %20 from %20 non-cancerous %20 cells.